anybody who says they're mad against AI are just gonna pick and choose their fights because it's easier. Because if you really
Yes.
hated AI, you have to stop using pretty much everything
Everything.
in your everyday use.
This is the irony that we face
Yeah.
is that everything they're writing these tools on contains AI generated code. Windows contains AI generated code. The browser
Yep.
you're writing in contains AI generated code. The
Yep.
platform you're writing on has Grok right above the message you just sent me. Who should you be mad at? Us for using a model that contains that data? Google for putting that data into the model? Or Reddit for literally selling your data?
What's going on, everybody? I know it's been a while, but we're back. I'm Della.
I'm Mad Curious. I almost said my name. Oh my goodness. And,
You almost said your real name, your whole government.
oh
What's
my
wrong with you? You've
goodness.
been
I'm
doing
not a
this
streamer anymore, I guess.
Welcome to another episode of Unfiltered Gamers, and today we are joined by a special guest. This man has been causing a stir in the streaming area of Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. The one, the only, the owner, the CFO, the commander-in-chief, the man himself, Joel Meld. I'm calling Joe Meld. That's Joe Meld.
Joel. CEO, actually. CFO is a much different job.
Oh, okay. I don't know. Big titles. The guy who made it. He's the man who made Meld. He has made Meld. And if a lot of you guys don't know about Meld, Meld is like the new competitor in a streaming platform. Not streaming platform, but like broadcast. Isn't what you call it, a broadcasting?
It's a broadcasting
software.
studio.
Okay, broadcaster studio. Because usually you have what? OBS. Everybody knows OBS. You have OBS. You have Streamlabs. OBS. You have what's the other one? XCast or some crap? There's something else. XSplit.
XSplit, and then
right?
there's vMix.
vMix, okay? But the main one everybody uses is OBS. You hear OBS, and OBS is very technical. I've used OBS before, and OBS was very big brain for me. It's like you feel like an actual like production studio when you're doing all that stuff. But Meld came along, and like when I first heard about Meld, Matt actually told me about it like a few years ago. I was like, oh, there's another streaming thing. Like, I don't have time for this. Then I started using it, and I was like, oh, this is super easy. This is like super easy. And it's like if this came out when I first started streaming, I would not have had so many headaches because it's like one and done. So, like, if you don't mind, Joe, tell us a little bit about like Meld and how you got started with it.
Yeah, so my background is software engineering. I did web design back in the day. Back when I was in high school, I had a little company. I think I mowed lawns for a little bit, and then I met a neighbor, and he was like, "I need a website for my roofing company," and I was like, "I think I can figure that out." I played video games online, and I made much more money creating this website than I did with my other part-time jobs. So that's kind of like where I got into programming and ultimately fell in love with it. I did research for a couple of years at Columbia. I worked at another company that did sort of some really interesting big data stuff. In 2019, I moved into a new apartment in New York. This is like really where the Meld story starts. Just before the pandemic kicked off, I had these windows. You can kind of see the city in the background, and I just had this image in my mind. I was like, oh, it'd be kind of cool to like learn how to DJ. I had this like old controller in the closet that had been collecting dust, and I hadn't used it. So I set it up. I went live, and then I did that a couple times, and then the first kind of chatter comes in, and it's this like astonishing experience I'll never forget, where somebody comes in and they're like watching you and engaging with you, and you just see that view count tick up, and I got absolutely hooked. I basically had a full-time job. And then I would stream for 8 hours every day. I would go to bed at 4 a.m. It was like the most fun I ever had.
Jesus.
It was an intense existence, but it was like I didn't feel like I was doing work. I was an extremely disorganized streamer. I never had a schedule, but I was live all the time, so it worked for me. Then the pandemic happened, and right time, right place. I was already kind of like one of the top music streamers on the platform. And then like all what I would say is like the real musicians and the real DJs came on, and I got to meet a lot of people and help a lot of people get set up streaming who I previously would go and see shows for. I would like pay tickets to go and see their shows. And I was speaking to them and just kind of like, I remember seeing the first time they got bits, they had no idea what these were. And I was like, what? Hold on, you guys are ignoring these things. People are sending you money and you're completely ignoring it. Hold on, guys. And I was really interested in helping them actually get into this platform and understand what was happening there. And I worked with a lot of them to do that. And the big thing that occurred to me in that moment was how much trouble they were having in OBS. And specifically for these people, a lot of it was related to audio. And I was like, these guys work in really complicated audio software all day long. Like if you've ever looked at Ableton or Pro Tools or Logic or anything like this, like these are really complicated tools. And they couldn't figure out how to do their audio routing in OBS. And so I would help them get this set up. And that's really where the whole thing started. I realized that it's very unique. Here's the the big realization was that in almost every other creative field, you sort of have multiple options delivering something to creators that drive the creative process forward. Super important that like multiple tools are doing different things and trying different things and giving you new tools to drive the capabilities of what you can create forward. And I realized that no one was doing that in the streaming space. You have OBS, and you have Streamlabs, which is built on top of OBS. And then you have XSplit and vMix. I mean, we couldn't even think of the name. You couldn't even think of the names of these in the beginning, right? Like people who are streaming aren't really using them. And more importantly, they're not built for content creators. So really the main thesis for Meld that is taking us all the way through, that is still the main thesis today, is how can we enable you to create the content and the ideas that you have in your head to the best of your ability. We often get framed as an easier alternative to OBS, and I can't think of anything less interesting. It's an incredibly boring product to have, right? Like no one's going to want to use that. And this was the problem that we identified with Twitch Studio early on, is that they framed it as this beginner-friendly product, and no content creator ever wants to be a beginner.
Mm-hmm.
That is true.
You never think of yourself as a beginner. You want to be like all the other guys. And if I have to learn this tool and switch to another one, why do this one in between, right? And so that's never been the goal for Meld. The goal for Meld has always been to push the boundaries of what you create.
Yeah, I agree with that, because when I first started streaming and I'm using OBS, it was a learning curve, because it's like pull this in and then pull that in, and then you're like, okay, well, how do I get this cool stuff I see these streamers have? Then you got to get this plugin and that plugin and stuff.
Yep, the friction of it all, right? Having to, when you're trying to even just adjust your camera, right? Where do I get borders? How do I, crop everything and make this cool, make it a circle? It's all of that is add-ins. I mean, that's just absurd.
Yeah, and then you gotta go to this website to get this alert, and then when you get this alert, you gotta get this code, put it in here, and make sure it's measured out right, and do this and it, like all these things. Like no one, and like you gotta go through like 20 YouTube videos and the step by step of how it's getting done.
And
then I got like
sorry.
But then I got like Streamlabs OBS, and they kind of like idiot proofed it a little bit, but because they gave you like their own custom. If you pay for before it was free, they had like their own like overlays and everything. They give you like the whole shebang for that stuff, and they got more and more. It got easier for me. But then there was this whole thing about people were upset with Streamlabs OBS because of some weird thing they were associated with some people, or they were taking something with somebody. It was something weird.
Yeah.
You know how people are. Everybody's always mad about something.
Yeah.
But what were you saying, Matt?
I don't remember. It'll come back.
Okay. But speaking of people being mad right now, even though Meld is, like I said, Meld is very easy. Meld is pretty much turn on and it goes 1, 2, 3, you're a streamer. 1, 2, 3, you're a streamer with Meld.
That's what I was going to say. Instead of, I never thought of it as beginner when I saw it. It's more just user friendly, which isn't necessarily beginner, right? It's intuitive. And then when you can build on intuitive, right? You can't build on beginner as easily. So, I mean, that's exactly. How would you describe that for you, Joel? Like, what's your phrase that you were going for?
Well, the long-term vision is a totally different thing than OBS. Like, again, being an easy alternative to OBS, I think is a very limiting worldview. I think anchoring ourselves to what already exists is also a very limited worldview. Everything that we do at Meld, we literally, including this new thing that a lot of people are upset about, like we literally sit down, and I've been doing this for 5 years. 5 years, every single day with the team, we meet and we talk about how to make the thing that streamers are going to love. Yep. I'm an expert at it. I mean, I've been doing it for 5 years.
Yep.
And we consult streamers of all different shapes and sizes, all different backgrounds. Like we talk to everyone. I mean, I think this is one of the things that's really unique about our company is that people came from the creator space and work at Meld, and many of them would call it their dream job. Mm-hmm. And they are deeply passionate about what they're doing. And yeah, I feel super lucky to have the team. We can talk more about that. I think I kind of got a little off tangent for the question you asked.
Yeah, just, I mean, beginner, user-friendly, what's your term? What do you go with for just the quick term of what Meld is?
Meld enables you to express the ideas that are in your head. It's not exactly like a pitch for the product, but our primary goal is to give you a workspace in which you feel you're most creative.
Yeah.
That's the goal for Meld. Everything in Meld is designed around that very carefully. It's like every tiny product decision, every button, every color is designed around making you creative. And when you're live, being able to diagnose things that are going wrong in as efficient of a way as possible. We make some product decisions that not everyone agrees with because they're different than the way things been done before. But we believe that they're the right way to do things because it gives you insight into where things may be going wrong. So for example, we don't let you hide audio tracks. Mm-hmm. The reason for that is because if you have something, it actually comes from my stream. So my stream early on, when I first started streaming, I would use my iPhone camera and I use this app and it would include the video and it would include the audio signal. And I never used the audio signal. I always used my microphone. And sometimes this would get turned off. So I would like hide the audio track and it was supposed to be turned off. Sometimes it would come back on and people would be like, you're doubled up. I had no idea unless chat told me. And so from experiences like that, I'm like, we're not going to hide an audio track if it could be producing sound. Mm-hmm. Okay. Because while you're live, if you have audio coming from somewhere, you need to be able to see at a glance. So yeah, that's a little bit too much. Yeah.
But no, it makes sense because there hasn't been that in the market, right? There's the leader, which is OBS, right? That's the one that it took over. It was everything. Everybody's like, it can do everything, right? Then there was Streamlabs, which was more honed in and had just everything kind of organized a little bit better, UI friendly, that sort of thing. But it used up a lot of resources. Then you had the Twitch one, which was, the beginner, whatever. You're coming in and trying to actually push more of the boundaries. You're not just throwing the kitchen sink like OBS is. You're doing it with that kind of specific goal in mind for creators.
That's part of it, but I've dropped this like a roadmap, like our big long-term roadmap item, and maybe like one other interview. And the big vision is basically a rethink of how we create video content. And it takes the best things from live and allows you to bring them like to what you would normally have to do in 2 stages. So if you think about a YouTube video where you're doing like an unboxing and then you're going to show how this thing works on your computer, you have to do this in like multiple segments. You have to like write the script. You have to take the face shots. You have to take the overhead shots. And then you have to now go to your computer and use the software and record this. Well, what if you could just set up all those cameras at once and do it in one take? And everything's recorded. And even things that aren't visible on the screen are recorded. And you can kind of draft how you want the edit to look, right? So the big idea is like bringing this real-time feedback into the video creation process so you can kind of see how the edit, it's like kind of a rough draft of how the edit's going to look. And that may include showing things on screen, doing certain transitions, showing a sponsor segment or whatever. Like you may want to feel all that out. Like my belief is like that's one of the best ways to create good content is like you want to get all right in the moment. Nothing takes you out of the creative flow like tedious things. Tedious things really take me out of the creative flow. And the medium term and long term vision for Meld is to remove as many tedious things about the creative process as possible to keep you in that like creative flow state.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I agree with that statement too, because like when you guys put out the multi-streaming, which was like easy. It was like a click of a button. It was just like, I don't have to go through all these hoops or even pay money. And like even right now, I'm using Meld's virtual camera right now. And like with the widgets, it's like you guys have the widgets built in. It's like I can just easy sit here and just add like the snowfall right now. And there's like, you can see the snowfall falling, and that took what? How long did that take? 2 seconds. It was click and done. And then look, I could just stop it if I want. Just like, oh, now the snowfall is gone. So it was very like user friendly and easy to use. Everything was there for everybody to use.
Yeah, because how many ideas do we have where we think of it and it's just gone because there's no way that you're going to have the time to do that live. But if you already have it built in.
Yeah, and you're getting frustrated because it's not working. Oh, this website, I can't get it from this website. It's not looking the right way. You guys just took all that, made everything easier. And I knew you guys were blowing up the minute when you go on to like Twitch and they automatically suggest Meld there. Like I can say like I was against it at first because I was like, oh, I gotta it's through Windows 11. I gotta find it through Windows the App Store. I was like kind of annoyed. I was like, but as you start, because again, I was using one program and then I had to make a switch, and nobody likes change. It's like when you move.
This is the hardest part. Like, building Meld. I think a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to build Meld. I mean, I could take this one in some really interesting segments, and you guys can take whatever you want.
Okay.
I'll give you a little preview before I go down, and you guys can tell me what you're interested in. Like, there's like one path where there's a certain segment of people that have wanted us to fail since the very beginning.
That's interesting.
Like. That's okay. Interesting to hear.
Yeah.
I'm sure
I can drop a really interesting bomb on that one. Then there's like the fact that it took basically the first year after release, we didn't have more than 2 users. We could not convince anyone to use it, and then another year went by, and then and then basically like we didn't hear from any platforms, and like creators wouldn't respond to me, and like I just couldn't get anyone to use it. It's one of the hardest things imaginable. I've been beaten over the head with it to get people to switch because there's so many, anything that takes you more than an hour that doesn't offer you at least 100 hours back in terms of time saved makes no sense. So people don't do it. So getting people to switch to Meld is a really, really hard challenge. And then there's another slice of this we could take, which is something we're often criticized for, is, well, you guys raise outside investor money. Like, that's going to mean that one day they're going to come in and say, you got to do this. By the way, a lot of people think that we've been forced to do this Spark thing by them.
We haven't spoke about the Spark thing yet, but we'll get into the Spark thing.
Yep.
Yeah, because I think we should divide that up because it does lead into it. And I can tell the story about why we had to do that. Like, it is the only way. Like, and like why we have to exist if you want streaming to change, like if you want it to continue to grow and to change. Like I really believe we have to exist.
Yeah. And the finance end is very interesting to me as someone who works in it, because a lot of people misunderstand how financing works and how that affects things. It really is interesting. People just assume that, God forbid you have financing. Oh no, it's interesting how the streaming space and the creator space in particular doesn't really have a great grasp on how businesses are run. And outside of this industry, so many people understand it. So I don't know what it is about the creator space, but there's all of these mentalities that have just kind of permeated that are almost like a bad habit that it's hard to break,
100%. I know you've done a lot of education on this, but in particular, it's almost like if you tell creators, by the way, in the eyes of the government, when you do your taxes, you are a business. Mm-hmm. You're a business. If you want to do sponsored deals and be effective, you're a business, and you need to learn how to think like people in businesses think in order to be effective at sponsorships.
Yep.
And in order to get renewed and stuff, and very few people do it.
Almost no one is taking full advantage of them running a business. When you have a pairing of your individual and a business, and you can run that together in tandem, there's so many things you can do, and people don't take any advantage of it. Yeah.
Totally. Let me start with this funding one.
Yeah.
Because it is an interesting one. So I'll start from the top. So a lot of the questions we got in the beginning, whenever we sort of got our initial flood of users, I think it was around the time Nutty was the first one to do a big video on us. He picked us up, and then Harris did a big video on us, and in both of these, people identified that we had raised investor money, and they were sort of suspicious of this. I think we've all been burned in the past to some extent. I think especially our generation, where there were a lot of venture-funded companies that built products that became embedded into our life that changed later on, right? For me, the example for me of this is like Uber. I was in LA in like 2015. I used to be able to take an Uber from Santa Monica to the airport. It was $5. I go there now, it's $75. You know, so like the people that got rid of their car in LA are like, wait, hold on, like this changed underneath me, and it's impacting like the way that I run my life. So I totally understand where people are coming from, but people cast a lot of suspicion on us for this. And my argument is there's no other way to do it. And my reasoning for this is when you have an industry standard like OBS, they are backed by sponsors from different community providers, right? Hardware providers, platforms. YouTube's a big sponsor. Twitch is a big sponsor. All these guys are big sponsors. And then you look at kind of the list of like hardware sponsors, and for the most part, like in some ways, you're supporting OBS, the product that everyone depends on, but you're also trying to buy a little bit of influence. And the problem that we have is sort of a chicken and egg problem. So if you take it for granted that in order to build everything from scratch, it was going to take at least a year, which it did, and we did it really fast, like probably faster than most other large teams could do it. You have to raise money in order to pay people that are very skilled at this task of developing software that is high performance and cannot crash. This is the number one thing. If Meld crashes while people are live, they leave us.
Yep.
Of course they leave us, right? They're losing money.
Yeah, of course.
So it's our number one thing. So how do you release every two? And it was also really important for us to be able to release every 2 weeks, because we knew we weren't going to be ready on day one, but we wanted people to know that we're going to get ready. We're going to be there fast. And how do you ship every 2 weeks without breaking anything? And that's a really hard problem. So raising investor money was the best fit. And we raised investor money from people that understand the space very well, people that are in the space. And they totally understand what we're up against, what we're after, and how people use this. They understand the community quite well. I think people would be quite surprised by how unique our set of investors are, and how well they understand creators. So we surrounded ourselves with investors that understood it was going to take some time to get there, and that there was something really interesting here. And then you set out to build. It took us 3 years to get one platform to even reply to us to do an integration. 3 years. Okay. So how are we ever going to get them to fund us in the beginning?
Yeah.
It took us 3 years to get a reply from the largest streaming platform in the space.
Yep.
That's crazy. And with all those struggles and everything, you guys you made the hurdles, and now you guys sitting at the table. But now you seem to have pissed off a whole group of people with this new feature you guys added in is Spark. And mind you, this is an optional feature. I'm going to say it again. It's an optional feature. You're not forcing people to use it. You're not saying people have to use it. You're saying, hey, it is here if you want to use it. And people are upset because it's AI. It's AI. And it's the group of people who are anti-AI. But they're not really anti-AI.
Because they're using Twitter. I mean, please. They're screaming on Twitter. What do you mean? Grok's right there.
They're against a particular type of AI. They're against the generative AI. And it's the whole thing. I was like, oh, why doesn't Meld hire artists? Why doesn't Meld hire coders? It's like, they have coders, they have artists. What are you talking about? Like, the whole internet exploded over this. And what's always funny to see? This is funny to see. The people who go, well, I was thinking of switching to Meld, because I was having problems with OBS, but I'm not going to switch. No, you weren't. You weren't
Nope.
ever thinking about switching. If you wanted to switch, you would have made the fucking switch.
Yeah.
I know people who made the switch and went back because it was like, there's certain things that it has and doesn't have, and there's certain features it needs, right? I think the Meld team is like really good at taking feedback and the Discord space and replying. But this feature, Spark, is an AI feature that people could use optionally again. It's optionally that lets you build from scratch. And if you go to the website, it says, don't you want to build from scratch? We've got you. All right. So if you could tell us a little bit about Spark and what does it really do in this space of Meld? What can Spark do for somebody like myself who is I've been streaming, I'm using Meld, I have the transitions and everything. Like I said, I'm using Meld right now. I could like do all the fun stuff. I could do the ending screen right here, the switch and everything. I have everything going on with Meld right now.
Yeah, and it seems
So
way past that beginner, right? It's that, like you said, you wanted to take it to the next level, help people who are already in it.
Yeah. So I'm trying to get from beginner to at least intermediate right now. So what is Spark doing for somebody like me?
Let me start off by saying that there's one thing, if people take nothing else away from this, that I would like for them to understand and consider, which is that for all the tools and all the things like this, all the generative AI things you've seen come around, I don't think any of them were created by a team of people that have probably collectively 10 or 20,000 hours creating content. I mean, several of us were partner streamers on Twitch. We've done it for years. Like, we know the space really well. I mean, we know the space really well. And we brought every bit of our knowledge and our background to the table, and over 100 other streamers picked based on a diverse set of beliefs about AI. We did a really intentional process, and we happened on it by accident. We started with this question of how can we get people to the aha moment in Meld as fast as possible, right? Whenever I put Meld in front of someone and I ask them to set up a scene, a lot of times I ask them to set it up in the way that they normally do and go live. It takes most people 45 minutes to get to a point where they can go live. 45 minutes.
Really?
And most of them,
no way.
Yes.
Even the people who've been using even people who've used OBS and stuff. 45 minutes.
I go live in about 45 seconds. What?
45 minutes. Because it's complex. Because you want to bring over your stream deck, findings. You may want to set up StreamerBot. You may need to go look up something on our guide. You may need to do Twitch and YouTube off. You need to do two-factor. You got to do a test recording. And what we found is that people don't even get to the magical moments in Meld. And they don't even discover, for instance, the rounded corners. They often don't even discover the effects and stuff, like a lot of things that we thought made Meld special. And understandably, if you have 2 or more frustrating moments in that 45 minutes, you're going to close Meld and never come back. Okay. So that's where we started to really dig in. At the beginning of the year, I was fully focused on figuring this problem out. And one of the ideas that we started with was, can we provide people with a gallery of templates that they can pick from to get started and get to a point really quickly where they have something that they really love that they want to go live with? Okay. So we talked to a couple of people in the space to maybe license their assets, and that was an option we explored and came very close to doing. But there's one important thing which we've learned having done this for a while, which is streamers want an incredible amount of control over customizing every little thing. And of course, right, it's your stream, you don't want your overlays to look like someone else's. You want to be able to change the text and the glow and how often it shows up and every little thing. And so you have an explosion in complexity if you expose all these options to users. And you expose all these options to users because 10% of users want them, but 90% of users never use them.
Yep.
So what we ended up exploring was, what if you could just tell it what you want to build? And it will build it. And I put together a prototype of this. And in the beginning, my idea was that you could ask it questions about Meld. I can't hear my audio. How does my audio sound? And maybe it would listen to it. And then I realized, well, what if I could give it the ability to change the setting for me? And I did, and it worked great. And then I showed it to someone. And I said, hey, that's pretty cool. Can I add a camera around the corners? I said, well, let me go work on it. And I came back, and it did. It felt, if in that moment, it felt like magic. In that moment, I was like, this is big. And then I was like, well, can you create multiple scenes? Blah, blah. And then I was like, what if I could create like a cable news show, like a CNN or MSNBC has a scrolling ticker at the bottom. So I went and I gave it the ability to write HTML that runs in the web browser, and it did it. And my mind was blown at this moment. And I was like, wow, this is pretty cool. It was totally unrelated to like streaming. I was just like, this is kind of cool.
Huh.
Yeah.
And in that moment, I brought it to the team, and everyone hated it.
What? Why?
Why did everyone hate it?
They were concerned for all the same reasons that everyone online is concerned. And this is what I wish people could understand is like some of the same people you're mad at fought really, really hard for everything you care about. Really hard. And I didn't push any. I didn't push. And I said, I think they need to see it a little further along. And I got a little further along. I still didn't like it. I said, well, watch this. Let me hook it up to chat. And we were sitting in a team call, and I said, create a game of Tetris. And I said, guys, I want you all to go to my Twitch page. And anyone who pressed WASD, you would get a block, and we were all playing Tetris. And then we made Snake. And everyone that pressed a key, you would get a snake, and you could navigate around. And we played this for an hour. It was so fun. I was like, this is the craziest thing I've ever seen. We were having so much fun with it. And that was a moment where I was like, this is something completely different. You can build any interactive experience and play it with chat while you're live.
That's amazing.
And something can happen.
That's
And
amazing.
something
We're
funny can
constantly
happen.
begging for more Twitch interactive games, that sort of thing. And you can just make
But
them.
this is like you don't have to be a coding genius. You don't have to like go to like 6 different websites to find it or pay a subscription. You don't have to do all this stuff. It's like I want to play Snake with my chat. So when I'm playing a game, chat could play Snake. We don't have to go to what's the ones they have usually, the stream avatars. You have to go to open up Steam and then put the Steam avatars and then run in the background, and may put a little strain in your computer because you're running multiple things at once. But this is just like, yeah. So this is,
and it's
easy.
And it's like, will it ever be yours, right? Like, will that ever truly be reflective of your identity, and will it be exactly how I imagined it in my mind? And I think in a lot of cases, by the time you get through the process of setting all these things up, you're like, I'm wasting time. I should be live creating content.
Yep.
And if you had that thought, you would be right? Because that's the most important thing. And so that was when we realized this is something big. And we started bringing people in. And we brought in a couple people in the beginning, and we sat them down, and we gave them this text box, and we said, come up with something that happened in your last stream that you would want to do with chat, and type it in there and see if it could do it. And I said, we're going to sit back. We're not going to tell you anything else. And we're going to see what happens. And without exception, every single person we put it in front of had an idea immediately. And every idea was different. And some of them surprised me wildly. Like one person was just like, I want you to call, I'm going to call you Gertrude. And then like all of a sudden they're like, I want you to call me Gertrude. Boom. They're just like texting you to sing. It was like almost like a text message. It replies back, hi, I'm Gertrude. Hey, great to meet you. And it like has all these emojis and stuff. And it's like, and she created this like cat that you could feed, that chat could feed and stuff. And then somebody else came in and created a Ouija board. Somebody else came in and created a trivia game. Somebody else came in and created Hangman. People had ideas, and none of them were the same. And they immediately were shocked. When we showed this to Harris Heller, he was stunned for like 3 minutes. Just, it was like silent. He was like, this changes everything.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it changes everything.
And,
So like I'm like looking at it right now, and I'm like, I'm seeing it's like you got You got Chat Pong. You can play Pong. You can play Pac-Man.
It's
Cyber Snake is like
it's just so
you can
interesting
just
that
do
people
this.
don't like it. That's what's it's they you have all of
People
this
don't.
positive, and they're only focusing on the fact that they come in with these preconceived notions of hating AI rather than looking at it. And that's going to be, I mean, you've already fought, getting into the market, and I have no doubt that you're just, starting something that's going to continue on. Please, anyone who's in business knows that this is where it's going. Period. End of
Yeah.
story. AI is in every single big company and every tool that you use. It is already here. So you're just starting it in a way in an industry that is very, very against it and is pushing back hard. But I have no doubt it'll eventually work. It's just, what are you going to do in the meantime?
Well, I'll also say from a personal standpoint, I've been programming for 20 years. It is a thing I love the most in the world. I really like it. I mean, I get so excited thinking about it. I think about it in the shower. I think about programming Meld. Like I think about what I want to improve. And those that are in programming see what's coming in a very unique way. We've been getting these tools, and as it turns out, AI happens to be extremely effective at programming. It's better at programming than anything else. I mean, it's basically the primary use case. And about 6 months ago, they crossed the boundary where all of a sudden they basically became what I would consider to be superhuman at programming, meaning better than the average human. You could give it a prompt and it would write something. And I remember I would text my girlfriend every day. I was getting scared. I said, this is going to be, I felt I was losing my identity and that this thing that I loved was going away. All my expertise would be worth nothing in a couple of years. And every day I would see a programmer that I used to admire who was like an expert. And I would send it to her. I'd be like, another one just switched to like believing that this is the future. And it was like the creator of Linux is vibe coding. When I saw this happen, my fucking head exploded. Like I can't say it. My fucking head exploded. I mean, I was like, this is a real moment where everything's changing and it's not going to slow down. And it's only speeding up. And I started using it more and more. And there was like a period of time where I was pretty scared and nervous and like really feeling this loss on identity. And then it just, oddly enough, it just like, to be honest with you, I started using it. I started learning how it works. I started leveraging it in my work. And there was this moment where everything changed and I kind of became addicted to it. I was like, all my ideas I can just create. Like I created an app to like control my lights. I was like, my cat, I have an automatic cat feeder. I was like, I really hate the app. So I asked it to like figure out how it works and create a different app for me. And it did it. And I realized that I was directing this thing. Like the ideas that I have in my head, I can make them real in 30 minutes. And that is the thing I always loved about programming, that I can go from idea to seeing it. I like the code. I like the process of thinking about the code. But the thing that I like the most is seeing the idea that I had. It's the most rewarding thing in the world for me. And so I think that's a bit of background. Like there's this stuff happening in the background. Like everyone needs to know. Like, and at this point, I could say with a pretty high degree of certainty, probably almost 100% of every overlay written since 2025 has some piece of generative AI code in it. If you're using a third-party library, it has generative code in it, even if you didn't use it. Now, I happen to know a lot of overlay manufacturers, and I know all of them are using it. And then I started thinking about this from the standpoint of streaming. And I saw that there were a couple of really clever content creators that started creating tools for other content creators. I was like, this is really smart. They were clearly vibe coded tools. And I said, I can see where this is going. What if we could apply it to Meld? And that was like where the idea started. What if we can use this? What if we can take what's happening in programming, this like wave of people inexperienced with code, able to create ideas in their head? What if we can give that to people for their video tools? And that's where the idea started.
Yeah, and it's reasonably priced too. Like again, if you use it, like there's a price breakdown, and you guys have it set up because, like, to be honest, like if you were to, I commission people to get overlays and everything and stuff like overlays, transitions and everything.
I do
and
the
it's
opposite.
not cheap.
So we can like, I actually have spent a lot of hours making stuff in Canva, and it takes forever. You know what I mean?
But how much?
Forever.
So how much?
My
Canva, the
time is
AI
worth
tool?
so much more than that.
Did you say Canva, the AI tool?
Yeah,
Oh,
exactly, right? And that's the
I
thing.
mean,
These people
this
are
is the,
creating things in Canva exactly where it's all AI based, and it's like they're
This is
pretending.
the irony that we face. This is the irony that we face
Yeah.
is that everything they're writing these tools on contains AI generated code. Windows contains AI generated code. The browser you're writing in contains AI generated code. The platform you're writing on has Grok right above the message you just sent me. And obviously, I mean, I think maybe this isn't obvious to a lot of people, but we knew what we were facing when we were going to release this. But it's super important that we do. I really believe that it's really important that we do this. And there's a lot of companies, I know founders at All Space. All of them are watching to see how this goes for us.
Wow.
Yeah, because they're gonna copy it next.
Yeah,
They're gonna be like, oh, they did it.
They're not going
We're
to copy it
do
next.
now, too.
No, they all have really cool ideas. Like there's a lot of really cool ideas that can't see the light of day because the people are going to revolt.
Yes.
And I said, it's really important to me that this doesn't get too far away from where programming is. Right now, this content space is about 2 years behind what's happening in programming.
It's so far behind these other industries, right? I mean, everywhere else is using it. A lot of places are using it still in the background because, all of these people are on edge, but creators are just the worst I've seen out of any industry. They are just anti-AI, and it's because the AI started, with the consumer facing taking art. And that is where people just cannot seem to get past. They're like, oh, well, it creates art and it's replacing us, right? It's such a hard barrier, but you're starting to, like you said, they're watching you. You're now trying to break that barrier. Maybe somebody else even bigger comes along, does something like what you're doing, and then boom, there's a hole in the wall. You just started punching at it. They break it through and everybody starts piling through. That's kind of how I see it. I don't know if you do.
It's going to happen.
Yeah.
This is for sure. It's going to happen. My goal and why I realize it's so important is that we set the standard everyone else has to follow. Okay. So what are some of the things that we spent a lot of time figuring out? One, how can we do this without your data ending up in training data? Okay. You can only do this if you get an enterprise agreement with one of the providers. If you're going and making your overlays, like, by the way, there's a shocking amount of people that are posting online that are making their overlays in ChatGPT. I know this to be true because a couple have told me privately. If you do that, it's in the training data. Like if you have a consumer grade version of these things, the legal agreement is it ends up in the training data. So we said, we're going to do a couple things. We're going to make sure it doesn't end up in the training data. And we have an agreement with Google that offers this. And we want you to own what it puts out. Okay. And this is where the distinction, a lot of people think that we were trying to hide the fact that it's AI by saying it's code or that it's like generating art by saying that it's code. It's a really nuanced thing. I think you could spend 4 years at a liberal arts college. I think you could spend 10 years getting a PhD in art and talk to someone else with a PhD, and you both would have entirely different definitions of what art is.
Yes.
So I think that's a really hard thing that I don't really want to, I'm not really interested in getting into. But the fact that it generates code is different and meaningful for a couple of reasons. One, you can see everything it's doing. If you go into Spark, this is really important to us. You can expand the thing, you can expand each thing it's doing and see exactly what it's doing and exactly the code that it's using. The code that it produces, you can then take and modify. This is a crucial difference between image generation models. A lot of people maybe
you can't change that like that with changing the code. That's true.
Yeah. So the image generation model, every image output by an image generation model has like a stamp in it that allows companies to identify whether it was AI generated or not. So they all have this stamp, and you really can't modify them. And and they're just not interesting. Like AI generated images are not interesting. AI generated video are not interesting. They're not interesting humans.
Yep.
Like if you've ever asked ChatGPT to write you an email and you've tried really hard and it never sounds like you, then you understand immediately that these things are basically producing average results, right? If you give an average input, you're going to get average output.
Yeah.
But if you give it specific inputs in specific directions, it will give you what you asked for in a lot of cases.
Yep.
And my question I would pose is, isn't that the creative process? Directing it.
And that's right? What I see it
as. Is a movie director any less creative?
Yeah.
Is a movie director any less creative than a VFX editor working behind the scenes?
Yeah. And that's
how
I use it in finance too. I use Claude in finance, which Claude is it's a big one for programming. And I'm directing it and telling it, but I have to be familiar with exactly how I want the build of the workbook to be, with what kind of formulas I want to use. But I might say, do you have others that might be more effective here, more efficient here, right? And then doing all that, right? I'm directing it like I would an employee, right? That's all it's doing. And it's like people aren't quite conceptualizing the power of this. It's not replacing what you're doing. It's if I write up an email and I'm like, okay, but I did it really fast and it could be more professional and I want the tone to be a little bit more this and make me just a little less sassy, and then you give that to AI and it's like, okay, got it. And then it'll organize headers for you and make it clarity, right? It'll just bring it down for you, take out your wordiness. That's what it can do. But if you have it generate an email from scratch, it's probably going to be trash because it's that mass-produced stuff. So if you see it as, hey, it's editing what you already are trying to create, like it's just generating for you what you are asking it to create, right? It's different. It's people who haven't used it don't even understand how it works because they haven't tried. And it's just this huge barrier.
I watched so many people that were vocally anti-AI. Like we picked some of these people out on Twitter. Like you can just go search on Twitter and see what the post history says about AI. We reach out to them. Hey, would you be interested in that product? We did this for a number of people. We put it in front of them and they go, holy shit, this is different than I thought it would be. This is actually, holy shit. Like I'm normally anti, and then we get the whole spiel like this. I've never seen anything like this. This is really cool. The number of people that's happening to right now would make your head explode. Like one of the things that's really difficult about this, I kind of did a little, like the dichotomy between what's being said online and how many people are using Spark is like making my head explode. And what they're saying about it, I'm like, if you read this, it looks like we're exploding. But if you read this, our numbers are exploding, And it's like, I was like, and people think our company is, whatever, like it's, I don't know what to say, but I will say my goal here is to be here to talk to. Like, I'm going to hear everyone's concerns. If you're willing to engage, I won't even try to convince you of anything. Like, I've been having phone calls with people, and I'm just like, what's on your mind? I'm like therapist, What's on your mind? What are your thoughts on this? Why does this bother you? Tell me about it. I just listen. And towards the end, if they want to hear my perspective on it, I share it with them. Some people are convinced by that, right? I don't think I've met anyone who hasn't been. In fact, I mean, I'm not saying I'm
like when you have a personal one-on-one conversation, you're then bridging something at that point, it seems.
Yeah, and I think what I see in most cases is one, people don't understand it, and then they don't understand what we're doing. And whenever I tell them what we're doing, I think that changes a lot of things. And two, there are a lot of people that come in with very reasonable concerns about what about data, what about training data, like a lot of these concerns. And I think when they realize how much consideration and care we put into obsessing over these details and getting them right, I think they feel a lot better about it. And I feel 100% confident in what we created. I mean, I don't think I wouldn't go back and change many things. But one thing I would change is I would have done a better job to make sure that the people that were in early access that went live with us were insulated from the blowback in some way.
Oh.
Because they didn't deserve it. And a lot of those people got a lot of very nasty stuff, and I really regret that.
Oh wow.
I honestly feel like with when it comes to the AI talks, like I said, like a lot of people are just following along with the crowd. They really just because they're afraid to say like, okay, I support it.
And that might
like,
be exactly why your numbers are so different than what we're seeing, right? Because people aren't going to speak out in favor of it because they're not going to get the engagement they want. It's not where the public is siding at this point. That wave's not going to be on their side.
Yeah, especially within the content creator space, like everything is like a whole thing of like people are afraid of being replaced. I'm gonna say something that's gonna sound like a hot take, but like I've worked with like some artists and stuff, and sometimes I can't wait till you feel better, or you are opening commissions again, or all this other like all these factors to like get my art, because like I paid for art before, and it's just like I paid $200, whatever. It's gonna be worth it, right? And then I gotta wait till you there's personal issues, your commission's closed, your mind's not in the right place. So it's like I have to take into the human element. I'm like, okay, I have to be human, deal with the human element. And it gets annoying after a time too, because then artists start setting their prices astronomically high, and not everybody could afford that. Not everybody
you
could
can't afford the time necessarily
$300.
either. When I started a newsletter and I wanted to do it that day. I had an idea. I wanted to get it out. I wanted to keep the momentum. And if you're waiting for an artist, you can lose momentum like that. You just need like a placeholder, and AI can do that. I got a logo in 10 seconds.
Let me say this, by the way. I would suggest steering very far clear of any reasons to not work with an artist.
Well, no. We're not saying like no, we don't work with artists. Again, I still have an artist that I work with. There's a lot of art that I have and I use for my artists because I like her art, and AI is not going to be able to give the art that I want.
Yeah.
Because maybe
I'll also say this: like one of the things that made a lot of us very like switch on this and feel that it was actually a very interesting solution. When you sit people down and ask them to type in that box, no one says like, create me a like perfect looking, well-designed, artistically tasteful overlay. Like, because it's, I mean, you could try, it's not going to do it. It's not going to look good. That's by design. Like it's not going to look good. And because that's not what it's for. It's for creating interactive experiences that you play with in chat, and you throw it away and you do another one the next stream. Like that's where it's really interesting. It's a totally different thing. This is another thing I think is quite misunderstood, is like it's serving a very interesting use case that didn't exist before. Like really before this, it didn't exist. And I think once more people see it and experience it, they're going to understand it, because it's very hard whenever something comes around like this. And it's like enabling this new thing you've never seen it before. Streaming, for the most part, has been the same for over a decade, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the IRL has gotten a little bigger, but like for the most part, if you look at Twitch 10 years ago, you look at Twitch now, it's basically the same.
Yep.
Meanwhile,
agreed.
The attention span of every generation is decreasing.
Yeah.
Okay? So don't you think content needs to become more interactive and engaging to keep up with this? And I would leave that as an exercise to the viewer.
Yeah, you should. That's a great fucking statement. Like, a lot of people, I even see it myself now. Like, you ever watch like a 1 minute video? Are you actually watching at normal speed or faster?
I watch things, but I'm a weirdo. I watch, like, I'm not there for the TikTok brain stuff.
Yeah. I'm watching it at a faster speed because I need this to come. For some reason, it feels like everything's going too slow for me. Like, I watch at a fast speed. I don't even have TikTok, and I got freaking TikTok brain because I need to see things come to me faster. This is weird. But, like, I agree with what you said. Like, people need to be more interactive. And when you go to people's streams, it's like, what are you doing? Okay, you're playing a game. I've seen this other guy play a game. What's different? Most of the time when people go into your chat, if your chat is slow and dead, they're like, okay, I don't want to talk in here. But if they come to your chat and you see they're playing Snake, I was like, oh, everybody's playing Snake. I want to play Snake. I want to get on this action.
Yeah, I have so many ideas just from this conversation. It's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you can do some, like, we saw people, they would go live, variety gamers. This is huge. You can create a little experience that is totally relevant to that game before you go live or while you're live. it's like you're on a level and you can't get past it. So when you do a thing where chat can like throw something that's like in a very specific place, right in the right in the middle of the scene, right where it matters for that game, and you can build that. And no one's doing that. Like it's not even possible to do this, right? This is what I'm trying to tell people is like,
hold on. So you're telling me chat could give hints real time? Am I
what do you mean?
misunderstanding? So like you're saying like they could throw things at it. So like I'm playing a particular game and they could like throw something at the during the
like
scene.
Integrate with a PC game? Is that?
Yeah, I mean, let's say you're playing a 2D game, Donkey Kong or something, right? I mean, I don't know. What's another game that was very popular? It's like a 2D platformer, and you need to be able to see the screen. And you have chat whenever they trigger something. They can mess with you while you're playing the game or something like that. I mean, you can do a wild amount of things. Or like after you die, you want to have like a mini game that you play with chat. Like you could do so many things. And people have so many ideas that they're just going to town on. And this is why it feels like a very different thing. And I would also encourage people, like, you don't have to believe anything I'm saying. You just look at the viewership numbers for live, right? I mean, I wish this weren't the case, but a lot of live viewership has been steadily declining for years, right? I mean, some platforms are going up, some platforms are going down, but like across the board, it's certainly not growing astronomically.
And it's not using what it should, the interactivity. That's the special part of it.
And I think we should ask ourselves, is it time to try something new?
Yeah.
That's why I think Spark is so important.
Yeah.
I think that's
it's like bigger than us.
Question.
It's
the
bigger
fact
than
that
us,
you might
right?
be able to really interact with games in that way is just, I mean, because I create my own challenge runs and stuff. I can only imagine chat would love to mess me up during my runs. It's their bread and butter.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think it's something that's exciting. I'm excited to start using them. I know my like peanut brain is gonna be a learning curve because I'm like I have to like.
There's this guy
fail, but
there's this guy Creation X who I'll never forget. It's funny because like we're kind of in business mode, like we work like somewhat normal business hours and stuff, but we have these calendar invites that just like have creator names on it or whatever, and you jump into the call and. He goes, hi, I'm Creation X. I've been a monster maker for 28 years. I never heard anything like it. A monster maker for 28 years. And we gave this guy access to Spark. And he messaged us 4 days later and said, my wife is going to divorce me. I'm using this thing and not talking to her. I mean, or like something like that. And we looked at how much he was using. And it was like astronomical. I mean, it was so much. It like shocked me. And then I saw what he was building with it. And he built a magic 8-ball. Everything's so tastefully designed. He's spending so much time directing it. He's got this magic 8-ball and chat can ask a question and the 8-ball shakes and it reveals an answer.
That's fucking dope.
He's got a Ouija board that you can play. He's got a trivia game, like so many things.
Like all these things you're saying, like there's so many type of streamers who could use this and they're against it because they feel like it's taking like.
And we know the bad reasons, right? The ones where it's just they're virtue signaling because it's groupthink and it's what everybody's pushing. They want to be part of the group that's saying, oh, it's bad because that's, and then you've got the fear of, it taking their art, all of this stuff. What do you think might actually be reasonable barriers that you're going to have to fight? The reasonable ones, the ones where people are like, no, this is bad because, and it's not just the fluffy stuff that they're dealing with.
I think there are two really big fundamental questions that are sort of set outside of us, but we'll be responsible for answering. One of them is, where does the data come from that these models were trained on, right? If you consider some of the companies that have done like music generation models, there's a lot of really bad questions about where that music they put in there came from. Mm-hmm. A lot of that's going to be litigated in courts. There will be lawsuits. There will be settlements. Then there's like, where does the data come from that goes into a model like OpenAI or Gemini or something like that? And they basically give it the entire internet, right? Some companies, believe it or not, are better than others at filtering what they put in to make sure it's like legally compliant. And they license the material. Like Google has a $2 billion deal to license content from Reddit for use in their models.
Whoa.
So your question might be, who should you be mad at? Okay, us for using a model that contains that data, Google for putting that data into the model, or Reddit for literally selling your data?
They're gonna be mad at the small guy, the little guy, because it's easier to be mad at you.
They're gonna be mad
They
at
won't
us.
stop using Reddit. They won't stop using Reddit. Anybody who says they're mad against AI are just gonna pick and choose their fights because it's like it's easier. Because if you really hated AI, you have to stop using pretty much everything in your everyday use. Your phone, your search engine, you get off of X. Remember when people say X was dead because Elon Musk bought it, so they were all going to run.
Smartphones are such a big one. Everybody's using a smartphone. I mean, it's absurd. It's like, you're right. They're picking the easy targets because it's something that maybe they don't have. It's not embedded as a need into their life yet. And so they're able to function without it. So they're like, well, that's an easy one for me to grab and just crap on and say, oh, virtue signal, virtue signal, virtue signal. It's going to be a hard barrier.
A lot of people don't know this, but I am quite educated about AI. I have a degree in it, and I did research in it for 2 years. And this was in 2017. We were researching how to generate 3D printable replacement bones that are fit to your body size, your gait, how you walk, and to be able to do it anywhere in the world. And it's a huge transformative idea because you can imagine developing countries, somebody's hurt on the side of the road. As long as you have a 3D printer and you have the dimensions of the replacement bone, this generates it. And we publish this work. And now my question would be, do you consider that generative AI? It's generating a 3D printable structure. Is it bad? I would argue, not at all.
I am sure there are people who would debate the very opposite. I can imagine all sorts of, interesting.
Oh, 3D printing's bad because
Is it taking away jobs from doctors and people who are making?
There's so many different arguments you could throw out there, but that's the thing. They're gonna keep coming up with it. It's just, what do you think it's gonna take for the breakthrough to happen? When and where would you kind of anticipate that happening?
Let me answer though the second thing that I think people have valid concerns on. Mm-hmm. So there's one more part with the training data though, which is like there's a lot of it where we just don't know, right? Like Google's taking liability on that. Like I'm sure Google, the other two AI companies are quite scrappy, right? Like they're really running as fast as they can. They're a new company. They're going to get there as fast as they can. Google has been doing this for many, many years. A lot of people forget that. They've been doing it for many, many years. And this is one of the reasons why they ended up being a good fit. So our belief is that they have the most reliable and ethical training data source. People think we just did this haphazardly, when in reality, like we did it very intentionally, very carefully. And like, I'm quite educated on the topic. Like I know these things quite well. In terms, so the other concern, and then we can move on, is the environmental concern. That's a big one. What I will say is when we evaluated all the providers, Google was also the one that made the strongest climate commitments. If you go and you look at what they're doing, and what pledges they've made and what they do on a day-to-day basis, and what they do in terms of research and what they're doing in terms of researching efficiency things, they're doing the most. That's my feeling. And that was an important thing for us. But, we can't stop data centers from being built. But I think you're kidding yourself if you think that Spark being and Meld is going to have any meaningful contribution to that. Like AI is being used for everything. And Spark is like a tiny little infinitesimally small thing.
Spark is the reason my electric bill is so high right now. So I blame it Spark. The water bill is all high because of that small little AI is like doing a little bit of work. But a
lot of people think it runs on their computer, and I'm like, no, it doesn't run on your computer. What was your other question? Sorry, we got away from it.
What do you think it'll take to break through, and when?
I had been watching the timeline for a while, seeing what was happening, seeing who was coming around. And there was this one guy, I won't put his name out there because I didn't ask if I could, but he was very anti-AI, and he was posting about, the prices of RAM, GPUs. I mean, I agree with all these things. It's super annoying. Like, I need a new computer. I still have a 2080 RTX. I would love to buy a new GPU more than anyone else. They're too expensive. Like, I don't want to do it. These things are frustrating. Like, I totally understand that. And I saw him, he was getting frustrated with this. And then all of a sudden, everything changed. And what he did was he went and he set up OpenClaw, which is like this personal assistant AI thing. And I hit him up and I was like, man, what happened? Like, what changed? This is a total switch. Like, and he said, well, I set it up and I realized I can use this to schedule all my content meetings, like all my meetings with different brands and stuff. I can use it to do planning for my travel for events. And that's when it clicked. And I said, the moment is different for everyone. And it happens when you see how it can give you value. When it clicks and you go, actually, I understand how I'm going to use this. It's going to replace a lot of tedious things. And you start thinking, and then you kind of, I mean, at least for me and having this other guy too, you get kind of addicted. You're like, I get this other really annoying thing that I do one time a year. And you're like, let's see if I can automate that, you know?
Yeah.
And focus on the interesting things in life. Like, I think most of us that are looking at this are like, let's focus on the interesting things in life and automate the tedious parts.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, I literally used it the other day. I got a kayak recently. I've been talking about that all over the place. And
Nice.
to get into kayaking, there's actually a lot to it. I wanted to know all of the intricacies of it, what I needed to get for it, all that. And AI helped me with that. AI is literally helping me go outside. Like, people don't realize these are the use cases that you could, it doesn't have to just be staying in the digital realm. You know, that's limiting it. And so I think you're absolutely right. People are so threatened by it because, especially in the creator space, they think it's going to take away their creativity, right? They think it's taking away their creations. But once they have that value, that thing that they see that they're like, oh, this is helping me, might all change.
But I also think it takes a level of personal experience, and there comes a moment, and it's different for everyone, where you realize that actually I can see how this is actually going to help me. It is a tool. This was where everything changed for me, especially on the programming side. Like, it was like loss of identity, is I started seeing it like a tool, where if I didn't carefully shape everything that I put into it, what I got out of it wasn't going to be good. And so the art became me taking all of my years of experience and distilling this down and directing it, right? And I'm like, this thing is only as good as it is because I'm doing the interesting parts. Like, those are the interesting parts to me, not typing the code on the keyboard. I mean, I'm getting to the point where I have an injury in my wrist because I've been typing so much. So it kind of came at a good time. Yeah. I think there's a moment for a lot of people where you realize, like, this is something I can really use as a tool. And it's what it puts out is me. Like, I can see myself. I feel ownership over that.
Yeah,
That's great.
I know what's hard is because you're kind of first in the creator space for bringing AI into it and getting pretty shit on. It's going to be hard because nobody's going to apologize. So what benefit
Exactly.
did
Nobody's
you feel
gonna
like you had to do it now? You know what I mean?
We had to do it as soon as possible. We were in a race. I mean, literally, we had to do it as soon as possible because a lot of the big established AI companies, like the vibe coding tools, like Lovable, released a version that does this for streamers. I don't think anyone heard about it, but they released a version that does this for streamers. And if you go and you look at their privacy policy, it's not bad. It's not a bad privacy policy, but they use your data for training. And I said, we got to get there first. Like, it was like literally a race because everyone else is going to try to expand in the space. Mm-hmm. Everyone's going to come after it once we do it. Like, when people see this works, the next thing is for us to make it as good as possible. And so that's why now more than ever, I really believe the content space is like behind what's happening in programming. Everyone in programming knows what's happening right now. They're at the forefront of it, or the absolute forefront of it.
Yeah.
And they know that it's not changing. It's not going away. And it's only going to speed up. These are uncomfortable truths.
Yep.
It's only speeding up. And no one knows what's going to happen from here.
So you weren't as afraid of the perception, knowing that, like, there's going to be this large outcry, but you knew that because the tides are going to change, that's okay with you because you're just preparing for the future at this point. Right now is not as important in your eyes.
I knew there was going to be a large backlash. I knew we did everything we could to prepare for it. And basically, it's like, you were in the Army or the...
I was in the Army. Army.
You were in the Army.
Army, yeah.
So it's one of those things where, like, at some point, I wasn't, but my understanding is, like, at some point, you've done all this training, and they go, every bit of training you've done up until now has prepared you for this moment, right? Yeah. And that's kind of what I told the team. I was like, everything we prepared for, all the things we spent time to get right, all that has added up. It's going to prepare us for this moment. We're going to go out there, and we're not gonna hide from this. I went out there and like, we're not trying to fan the flames too much. Like we want people to have the dialogue. We don't want to inject ourselves too much. But like the dialogue's super important. I mean, I'm not afraid of the dialogue happening. Even if it's directed at us, like people need to get that out. People need to talk about it. People need to bring the perspectives. And we happen to be the one that kind of forced this into the limelight. But yeah, everything we did led us up to that moment, and then you just have to jump and do it. And I'm here if anyone wants to talk to me. That's the other thing is like, I'm not gonna hide away. Like a lot of people, they hide the CEO away, and he's not willing to stand up for the product. Like I'll stand up for the product. I'll tell people it's my idea. I mean, I'll tell people why I think it's so important. I really believe it. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to believe me, but I believe in it, and that's that.
Yeah, it's good that you take that stance that you want, like you want the open conversation. You're not going. You're like, you're posting on X and you're like saying like, this is what you believe in. Like, talk to me. As people can ease. Has anybody actually like DM'd you, a content creator or streamer? They're like, hey, this is why I feel X way about this. Like, has anybody done that yet? Besides me, because I messaged you. I'm like,
I think I literally only read. I would much rather get into a call with someone and hear their thoughts, because right now just the notifications go off continuously. I'm like, I can't really focus on reading.
Yeah.
I would. There was one. I think today I read the first comment, like actually all the way through. The person was so nice. They're like, Joel, I think you've made a mistake here. Here's why. I really hope you reconsider. And I said, thank you. I mean, what did I say? I said, your message made it much further than everyone else. Like, at this point, I have a filter. Like I can read through and see immediately when something's going to be like so negative, it's like almost hateful.
Yeah.
And that's not that helpful. That's not that productive. And I don't want to engage with that person. I'm willing to have a conversation with them, like in a phone call. I mean, but like online, definitely, that's not going to lead to anything productive. But I will say, this is one of the other paths I offered in the beginning is like, we're used to it. People have wanted us to fail since the beginning, and we're no stranger to it. And the people that, this is the big thing I was going to drop.
Story? Yeah.
If you go on any of the large streaming related subreddits today, our streaming, our Twitch, our, any of the big ones, and you search for Meld, you'll find nothing. Not one result. Why is it that the fastest growing like streaming software in this space that a lot of large creators have done things on, there's not one piece of content? Why?
No way.
I couldn't answer that. Like,
Reddit has
I don't know.
pushed you out. Is that
3 years went by? 3 years went by before any of the platforms responded to us. It wasn't until a Harris video that they would reply to us. There are still some platforms today that we try to get in touch with, and they just reply to us and say, "You're too small."
Wow.
Right. So we fight it from all ends. And like, I knew what I was signing up for. I don't mind, right? I mean, I knew it's important to me. It's important to me to push through this. But then there's some people that just want us to fail, and it doesn't make sense. And they're creators that just have really strong feelings. And my argument to them would be, you don't have to use us, but it's better that we exist, because we need to try different things. Like we need to be able to try different ideas. Like this can't be the same forever.
Yep.
It just can't be the same forever. You will make no meaningful progress. No creative field has ever made meaningful progress when there's only one tool available.
Yep.
Video editing, you have Premiere Pro, DaVinci Resolve, CapCut, whatever anyone else is using. Photo editing, Canva. Like you can do real creative things. Things really change. In the streaming space, you have one tool. Until us. And we're here to do things differently. And sometimes we're going to do things people don't like.
Yeah.
That other people love.
And you're expanding into more than just streaming and trying to connect it all, it sounds like, too, because you're doing the interactivity, and then you're doing some of the, the recording to the video edit, like all this stuff that you're kind of combining and trying to create an ecosphere. So that already, on top of being a competitor in the market, is trying to create something new, it sounds like. So
yeah. So I think there's like kind of a hot button issue in the space where like, yeah, anyways, I don't want to hear like why people don't want us to exist, but just believe me when I say there's a not large, I mean, it's increasingly small, and like it's been silent for a little while, but it's like kind of bubbling underneath the surface of like people that want us to fail. And when we put this out, all those same people came out and said, this is why. This is it. This is our moment.
So they're just waiting in the wings, like for you to do something that they can easily get engagement bait for.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sounds like
I mean,
Okay.
I think almost none. I know the people that are using Meld because I talk to my student support.
Yeah.
Like almost none of the people that say like, "Oh, I was going to," "Oh, I was using it." I'm like almost none of them were using Meld.
exactly.
They just want us to fail. They want us to fail. Why do they want us to fail? Because we make streaming easier.
So my question when you say that is, okay, what money? Where follow that money? Because who's making money off of streaming being hard? That's exactly where my brain goes.
They are.
Yeah.
But they are. I mean the logic is that if you allow more people to come in and create the same kind of content that you're creating, now you're competing with more people. It makes the pool of viewers smaller, and now your income goes down.
Mm-hmm.
That is true. Nobody likes competition. No one.
And like people that have been around for a really long time that are like frankly like quite smart and technical.
Mm-hmm.
They figured it out. They figured out how to do it, and they're like, "Why can't you figure out how to do it?" Yep. It's super easy. You just have to install XYZ, write this custom script, do this thing. You have to reboot 3 times. You need to drag this to this folder. You need to extract this. Make sure you do that. If your antivirus flags it, you need to go exclude it. But it's like really easy. Why don't you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
9 million YouTube videos having to explain this really complex stuff. I mean, you put all that together. Yeah.
You spend like 3 days setting up your stream before you finally go live, and then next thing you know, it breaks. It breaks.
Yeah,
because
that's
what
why
happens.
I stopped being very technical in my stream, to be honest. It was just too much. I was like, you know what? I'm just going to chat and I'm going to game. I'm over it. I couldn't do it anymore. I hit a wall after a few years, you know?
You know something really funny that's like, it just becomes more and more ironic as the days goes on?
Yeah.
I only have ever had one scene. I never had an overlay. I had one scene, one audio track, one camera. I made it to partner with that. I made it to affiliate without a microphone.
Really?
Interesting. Yeah. They just loved your face, or what?
That's wild.
Like, well, how did you get affiliated?
I don't know. I didn't mean it that way, but maybe. I don't know.
You know,
no, I would type in.
Oh,
I was very fast, very responsive.
Interesting.
You know, it's funny that you say that.
I was very shy. I was really shy. Yeah.
When you talk about bare minimum, and when you talk about bare minimum things, and like when you make it the affiliate with no mic and like just partner with this simple overlays, like I don't know if you ever heard of the streamer. He's a big streamer, Tyler One. He plays a lot of League of Legends. His setup is bare minimum. I think he's still using like Stream Element alerts, like the basic alerts. He doesn't have like crazy things happen in his overlay. He has just, here's the game. Okay, one scene change. Oh, somebody follow. And it's like this simple stuff you see in Stream Elements, like the zombie running for money and stuff. It's like nothing immaculate like all these other big streamers have. And this guy pulls in about 4K viewers playing League of Legends. Simple setup. He doesn't have a big green screen and all that stuff. It's simplicity. But when you go into streaming, what do you see everybody doing? Everybody has the lights, the expensive microphones, the headphones, the overlays, the transitions, and all this stuff, because a lot of times that's what people feel that they need. Right. And like you said, some people may sit there and go, oh, it's easy to do this, XYZ. You guys came in and said, it is easy to do. You literally press one button, and this is how you do it. Or you type in what you want to do, and this new program, if you choose to use it, again, because it is optional, you got to put it out there that it's optional, because people forget what the word optional means. You type it in and the program says, here, this is what you wanted to do.
Yeah. I mean, the other thing I really don't understand is like, there are like there are not a lot of companies in this space that are actively investing in creators, right? Like that have money and are doing real meaningful deals that aren't like energy drinks that are sketchy and all this other stuff. Like we're one of those companies. Like we're doing a lot. We're spending a lot on creators. Like our marketing budget is spent on creators. Like, I mean, we do stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't take it personally.
They're going to use that against you, and you know that. They'll be like, oh, well, they're paid. Look, they're going to make money off Meld, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
You can't win, right? If you don't support creators, you're evil. And if you do support creators, you're buying them. It's like, what?
If you make things
people
easy,
really,
you're a bad person.
People really don't want us to like to pull it off. Like I'm like, oh, people don't, why are we doing something people really don't like?
Yeah.
People really don't want. And then I realized it's such a small segment, such a small segment. Like the number of people that have straight up paid, like just paid for Spark without even trying it, you would shock you. I emailed them. I'm like, hey, thanks for signing up. Like, how's it going? They're like, it's amazing. It's the most, like, I canceled these other 2 subscriptions that I had. I rebuilt everything totally different. I love it. It's awesome. I just ran out. People are upgrading. Like, it's just, those are the people we're paying attention to.
Right. Because the people who were screaming were never your audience to begin with.
Yeah, but I'm open to hear it. I'm open to hearing from them if they want to talk to me.
Do you think that your competitors will join suit anytime soon?
Yes.
Yeah. What do you think is going to happen then? Because people are gonna scream. So it'll be interesting if they have no options.
I mean, we're gonna break the wall down.
Yeah.
We're gonna break the wall down for them, and that's why it was so important that we got the licensing right. Because if you're looking at us and you're looking at them, and with them they use it for training data, and you don't own the output, you have to. So the thing that's unique with us, and you could literally create overlays in Meld. Even if you're a designer, you could create these overlays in Meld and go sell them.
Mm-hmm.
You can cancel the subscription, right? And be like, okay, I just created these overlays, I'm going to go sell them. Right? Do you think that other company would have done that? No, they would have made you keep paying to use the overlays, even if you're not creating new ones. Now they can't do that. There's no one will use it.
That's crazy.
This is why it was important we had to be first.
And then you can continue to make it better and better and better. They'll introduce just something super basic. Everybody's going to be talking about it. You'll have already been first in. Yeah, I see it. I see it.
And I can see the competitors that the people like do it, and they're gonna be like, oh well, this is different because that's what people do. Mm-hmm. It's because it's what they like. It's if they for some reason they feel like they don't like Meld, they're like, oh, they're like slaves to whatever they are, the program they're using, because they don't want to make changes, and
the brand
they're gonna
loyalty.
sit there and go, the brand loyalty, like. Well,
I'll also say what I said in the beginning, which is ours is by definition very different than anything else we're going to use because it's created by people who are very experienced creating content. We're very experienced creating content, and we're also quite experienced with, on a personal level, dealing with an online mob. And the Meld team is extraordinarily strong. And everyone has a very interesting personal story. Everyone comes from different backgrounds. Like, we have a really diverse team in terms of perspectives, in terms of location, in terms of everything. I mean, it's incredible. But I mean, there's no other team that can do what we just did. That's for sure.
Nobody could do it better than you guys, right?
No.
Love it.
That's what we want.
Love it.
So we're going to start wrapping up. Is there anything you want to say to people out there that that are very like do you want to say anything to the haters and the doubters and the people who are like afraid of AI? There's anything you want to send, any messages you want to give to them, like this?
Like, pretend we hate AI right now and we're like, we're never going to use your product. This is awful. You've offended me. Just because you have sniffed at AI, you are now evil as a person. What do you say to that?
You're taking away jobs from people like me.
I would say, I think it's really important to spend the time finding out where the right place to place the blame is, and to place your feelings. I'm happy to hear them. I've heard many, and we've incorporated that in everything we do. But a lot of the big fundamental problems aren't related to us. And if we delete Spark out of the product today and erase it forever, none of the things that you care about preventing are going to change. It's not about Spark. It's not about us. It's about the fact that we have an exponential growth in artificial intelligence. There's no one in charge is interested in slowing this down. So you have to convince whoever's in charge. That's a problem that's bigger than me. I'll say that. That's a problem that's much, much bigger than me. It's a global, it's a national security problem. It's a really challenging problem. And give us a chance. I don't expect anyone to, or but like, try the product. You'll be shocked by what it does, and it on a in almost every case is different than what you think it is. It's not replacing what you think it is. It's introducing something new, something that doesn't exist, something that wasn't possible to do, to be able to create these interactive things right in the moment, right before stream, right at the end of stream. People weren't doing that. It's new. We're not taking anything away.
All right. Well, I appreciate spending time and joining us, Joel, and giving us the scoop, letting us know what you guys are about, and hopefully, people that watch this, they put their minds at ease. Go say, you know what? Let me try it before. Let me not listen to other people and just give it a try and see that there's a company who's actually passionate about what they do and they want to help creators and not just freaking bleed them dry for whatever's in their pockets. So I really appreciate you, Joe. And
I appreciate you guys having me on.
Yeah.
We're still on for Kaiju, right? Got tickets.
I'm still on. When is it?
May. Don't worry. I don't want people showing up. I don't want to tell people because they
Okay.
try to like dox us, but we'll be there. We'll be there.
I mean, I hope that people start opening their minds a little bit. They're missing opportunities left and right to improve their own lives. And this is one where Meld might be a good fit for them. There's the different platforms or the different softwares for a reason, right? And they might be missing out on something that's really good for them just because they're being closed-minded about a tool that is taking over, just like the internet, just like cars, just like cameras. It's happening. So, it's an exciting time. You can choose to be excited or you can choose to be miserable. And if you are excited, you should look at Meld.
And all I gotta say, don't be a tool or a fool.
Instead, use
Thanks
the
for
tool.
joining us, everybody.
Thanks for having me.
Joining us, everybody. Take it easy. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.